Hey, shalom, 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 saints of the Most High. Hope you all doing well. This is Elder Becker. I'm the host tonight for Blog Talk Radio. Oh, hey, I hope you all had a great first day. Again, we had a rich word, as we always do. Always good to, remind the saints that we're in a spiritual war, that we need to continue to, jump into deliverance, deal with them spirits, get them out, get clean, get ready, and get ourselves sanctified for the King. All right. I got a report. Sister Diane says the sound is choppy. Is it clear on your end, y'all? Is it a good, clear signal, or is it indeed choppy? Because she's listening by way of phone. And I know we got a little bit of a delay. Hey, honey, it's got to be your phone. The saints on the chat would say it's great. So, thank you again. Appreciate that. Cell phone service out here in the sticks is kind of suspect. But anyway, the shepherd preaching in about getting back into deliverance, putting our memories back into, and just making us aware, not so much putting our memories back into it, but constant reminder that we're continually in a battle against, spiritual warfare, against demons working in us, against us, and we need to take the battle to the gate. I'm sure you all heard that Pastor Dowell has accepted Yaki's challenge, so we'll be looking forward to that. It's going to be interesting, to say the least, but, our shepherd's got a blistering track record for debates, so it's not going to get shattered anytime soon, especially with this next one. So, hey, glory to the King, praises to the Most High. I want to acknowledge my Savior, my Master, my soon-coming King, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. I want to acknowledge the leadership, appreciate their leadership and upholding their offices that Yah's ordained them to, and all the heads of assembly and all the saints, all my brothers and sisters, blessings to you all. I want to give shout out to my wives, appreciate their love and support, and I'm grateful for it. But tonight, the teacher did post what we're going to be talking about tonight. Won't be with you too long. Again, Brother Ugly, as always, appreciate you always being faithful, joining in, and posting up the scriptures and the definitions and whatever else, and appreciate that. So glory to the King. Bless you, Sister Brittany. Good to see you on here. Brother Vincent. Hope you all doing well there in Texas. Glory to the King. But we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to do a short study on returning curses. I think sometimes we have a misconception about what it means to return curses, or how we go about it, or the implications behind doing it the wrong way. And we're going to just do a quick short study about being more conscious about how we, when the time comes to deal with curses, especially those spoken by others, what's the proper way to deal with them. So with that, we're going to get started. Okay, so again, tonight's Blog Talk Radio study is called Returning Curses. All right, we are given the direction to return curses, but not to send curses. The wicked send curses, but the righteous return the curses back. We are not to send back or send curses by speaking those things back against those who sent them, but we are simply to take the words and return them upon their own head. When we return curses, we are simply returning back what has been spoken against us, and from that point we wait and see how Yahweh judges those who had sent the curses. Very often curses come from those who are of our flesh family. They may speak against what we are doing, what you are doing, how we are living in the negative, harsh ways. And that's how they believe that, that's how they're attacking us, with the words in negative, harsh ways. There may be also those of your natural family who pray to, quote, their gods, believing that they are invoking Yahweh to help you come to your senses and the blindness be lifted off your mind. So they're petitioning their God to do certain things with you and they're actually sending spirits to attack you. All right. Curses can also be sent by those involved in wickedness in Israel when they speak wickedly against you, when they oppose you because of malice in their hearts, and you have every right and duty to return those curses back and let Yah deal with them. Mind you, if you know of those who are in fact speaking wickedly against you, then you are required to go and deal with your accuser. You go to the wicked and tell them about their wicked ways. We're going to be spending a good deal of the night in Psalms 109. One of the main texts that we're directed to, it really talks about how David handled dealing with people and the wicked that actually were cursing him and were speaking all manner of wicked things against him and actually hated him when he was trying to do his best to, be supportive. All right, we're going to start out in the book of Genesis. This is all out of the King James. I typically only use the King James. It's just easier for me. So Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. Genesis 12, verses 1 through 3. And we're going to open up with this to show that the Most High is the one that deals on our behalf when we return the curses and not send them. When we return them back to the sender, those that sent it, he is the one that ultimately, once we return them, he deals with either allowing these things to come back on their head or he pronounces some greater judgment. And we're going to show that clearly in this study. Now the Most High had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be blessing. Meaning Yah is the one that's going to do all this stuff. He's the one that's going to set this up. He's the one that's going to put this in action and actually produce these results. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curseth thee. So Yahweh is saying, I will bless them that bless thee, and I'm the one that's going to curse them that curseth thee, taking you out of the way. This becomes Yah's, this gets put back in his lap, and he'll take care of it because he knows more than anybody how to take care of people that curse you. And in these shall all the families be blessed. All right, the word curse in the Hebrew, and as it used in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, is the Hebrew 779, and the Hebrew pronunciation is arar, and it's a pretty short definition. It means to execrate or bitterly curse. Now, if you look up the word execrate, and I had to go into I just got a dictionary definition off the internet. Execrate is a verb. It means to feel or express great loathing for. It means similar synonyms of cursing in this, or execrate in this instance, means to revile, denounce, decry, condemn, vilify, detest, loathe, hate, abhor, abominate, despise, regard with disgust, feel disgust for, feel aversion, revulsion to. Vilipend, words I never heard about, anathematize, a few other ones that like are college level stuff. And archaic, it just means to curse or swear. So we have an instance here where we're saying Yah said, I will be the one that is going to denounce. I'm going to be the one that's going to condemn. I'm going to be the one that is going to express great loathing for. I'm the one that's going to feel revulsion for, feel disgust for, and on and on and on for those that curse you. But this is all falling under the control and rule of the Most High. He is the one that's going to return these curses back on those that curse us. Genesis chapter 27, verses 26 through 29. Genesis 27, 26 through 29. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now and kiss me, my son. So we're given an account out of Genesis about how Jacob went about and doing what he had to do to make sure that he got the blessing ahead of Esau, because we already know by reading the account that Esau had already rejected his birthright and given it up to Jacob. So now Jacob is doing what he's doing and trying to play the part of Esau to get the blessing of the elder. Come near me now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of the field which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore Yah give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth. So now we're up to this point. Isaac is basically blind, and he can tell by the smell in the field that he believes this to be Esau. And as long as Jacob didn't say anything, he thinks this is Esau. So he starts out his blessing, and he says, Therefore Yah give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth. And again, this is his petition to the Most High for who he believes to be his eldest son, Esau. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee, and be master over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed he that blesseth thee. Again, he's petitioning Yah to actually, just like he did back what we just read in Genesis concerning Abraham, that this is a continued petition. Yah, everybody that curses us, you deal with them. You're the one that's going to denounce them. You're the one that's going to condemn them, feel aversion to, despise. We're going to leave that with you because nobody can handle it like you. The word curse here, again, we already went over that. The Hebrew 779, again, that's the same Hebrew word that's used in Genesis 12 we just read. And again, it means to detest or feel disgust for, and a bunch of other verbs. Psalm chapter 7, verse 8. Psalm 7, verse 8, Psalm 7, verses 8 through 16. And David definitely understood people cursing him. He understood what it meant to deal with people cursing him and how to pray accordingly. All right, so starting at verse 8. And Yahweh shall judge the people. Judge me, O Yahweh, according to my righteousness and according to mine integrity that is with me. I mean, right away, David starts out in this, and he acknowledges the fact that Yahweh is the one that's going to judge the people, right? It's the Most High's place to judge because he is the creator, and he is the ultimate force that's going to level judgment against those who need it. Oh, let the wickedness of the wickedness come to an end. Now here we're going to start seeing David's petition. It's not that David is sending a curse. He's not. He's just letting Yah know that he's righteous, or he wants the same things, that the wickedness to end upon this earth and the people that promote wickedness. Oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just. For the righteous Yah trieth the hearts and reins. Now remember, Yah is going to judge the people, those who are of the wicked and those who are the righteous, and each shall be rewarded. Verse 10, My defense is of Yah, which saveth the upright in heart. Yah judgeth the righteous, and Yah is angry with the wicked every day. Thus the judgment and the punishment. If he turn not, that is talking about the wicked, if the wicked turn not, he, meaning Yahweh, will whet his sword. He hath bent his bow and made it ready. He has also prepared for him, meaning the wicked, the instruments of death. He ordained his arrows against the persecutors. Behold, he, the wicked, that's who the context is, it's the wicked. He, the wicked, travaileth with iniquity, which is languishing and lawlessness, and has conceived mischief and brought forth falsehood. You're going to find out that in many times where it's talking about people cursing, sending curses at you or towards you, it's, obviously based on a huge amount of lies. That's how they can try to deceive the people. And when they're putting their mouths on you, they invent lies or promote lies, trying to discredit you, to bring you down. He, the wicked, that's who the context is, he made a pit, indignant, and has fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief, his labors to deal wickedly, that's what it's talking about. The word mischief is basically all the stuff that he's promoting on all the time and effort he's trying to do, putting into actually dealing wickedly, shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own, I guess that maybe is his head. All the lies the wicked has spoken, which he has conceived in the mischief of his own heart, because he is without law, without restraint, these things it is written shall return back upon his own head. The wicked shall be his own undoing. And again, that's what verse 16 is saying, is that his mischief, his labors to deal wickedly shall return upon his own head. It's not for you to send curses against him with your mouth. It's to allow with everything he's spoken against you, and all you simply do is just return them back to the sender, and whatever he spoke, that will be heaped back upon his own head. Whatever he meant for you is going to fall on his destruction, and then Yah may add to that, or bring that to a greater degree. All right, 1 Kings chapter 2, verses 8 and 9. And this is a story of Shimei. And I didn't, it would take too much time to have it all written down here, but when David left the city, when the city of Jerusalem, when there was under the threat of Absalom gathering people and actually storming the city and starting internal war, rather than David stand there and fight and oppose his own son, he gathered together the people, and he rode out of Jerusalem, because he was going to try to avoid all this bloodshed and everything that was going to come with it. And Shimei was an older man that ran out there and started throwing dust in the air, and he started cursing David while he was on his horse. And, David let him live, even though he was cursing a man of Yah to his face, because David already knew that Shimei would come to an end. He knew that the Most High, knowing the Most High, that he is the one that renders judgment. He's the one that takes care of those. They already said that he would curse them that curses Israel. He would take care of them, right? All right. And behold, thou hast, 1 Kings chapter 2, did I say 8 and 9? And then we're going to go to 1 Kings 2, 42 through 44. And behold, thou hast with thee Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjamite of... Now, he's talking, let me bring you up to speed here, too. Now, we jump right over when Solomon, David's on his deathbed, and he's reciting to Solomon things that he needs Solomon to do or give attention to before his death. And one of the things he's bringing up is about Shimei, because David has never forgotten what Shimei did that day when he cursed the man of Yah. He cursed Yah's anointed. And behold, thou hast with thee Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjamite of Bahurim. Now, this was a man in Israel. This was an Israelite, a fellow Israelite. This man now has made himself the enemy of David by pronouncing curses directly at him. He spoke curses directly at him. Shimei, if you notice, if you go back and read the story, David did not curse back to him. He didn't say, he just said, let him be. I mean, I believe Joab is going to get down and run a sword through this man, but David said, just let it be. This has got to be something from Yah, all right? But David didn't speak foul back to him, didn't wish death upon him and everything else. He did not send any curses. If anything, he returned the ones that Shimei sent. But anyway, he's having this conversation with Solomon, and he said, Shimei, a Benjamin of the Bahurim, which cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Mahanaim. But he came down to meet me at Jordan. I swear by him to Yahweh, saying, I will not put thee to death with the sword, because he already knew that there was a judgment coming much greater than David ever could get by running a sword through him. And verse 9, now therefore hold him not guiltless, for thou art a wise man, and knowest what thou oughtest to do unto him, but his whorehead bring thou down to the grave with blood. So David said, you're going to figure this out. You know how to handle this and how to deal with this wisely, that this man doesn't escape. There's going to be justice brought upon his head for actually cursing the king. Yeah, and David didn't know how it was going to be handled, but he knew that Solomon was a wise man and a righteous man, and he was still going to have it so that the Most High would be able to deliver this wicked man for the cursing that he did to David. All right, 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 42 through 44. And the king, meaning Solomon, sent and called for Shimei and said unto him, so some things have transpired, right, over between verse 9 and between verse 42. Shimei was told he was never to leave the city of Jerusalem. He had to stay within the boundaries of the city of Jerusalem. If he left, he automatically placed himself against himself a death sentence. Well, Shimei decided that he was going to try and sneak out, and he got busted, right? So now he's before Solomon, is going to be before Solomon. And the king Solomon sent and called for Shimei and said unto him, did I not make thee to swear by Yahweh the Elohim, and protested unto thee, saying, know for a certain, on the day that thou goest out and walkest abroad any hither, that thou shalt surely die. So he's recounting back to Shimei what their agreement was. And thou saidst unto me, the word that I have heard is good. So Shimei acknowledged that he understood what Solomon said back then. He agreed with it and said it was a good word because, you know, knew he was worthy of death, but here his life is going to get spared. Why then hast thou not kept the oath of the Most High and commandment that I have charged thee with? The king said moreover to Shimei, thou knowest all the wickedness which thine heart is privy to, everything that you said, everything that you did in them actions that day against when David was leaving the city, that thou didst to my father David. Therefore, the Most High, the Elohim, shall return thy wickedness upon thine own hand. So even Solomon understood in that time who it was that would return or settle up with those that cursed Israel. But it makes it clear here, Yah is the one that's going to return that or deal with that and make this thing just and make the balances just for Shimei cursing out one of Yah's elect. All right, we're going to go over Psalms 109, verses 1 through 20, but we're going to be doing a lot of jumping in and out of Psalms. So as we go through a few Psalms, I'm going to inject some other the scriptures in there, some other verses, different parts of the Bible to kind of help bring out what it is that the context about what David was doing and speaking about in Psalm 109. So it's going to be verses 1 through 20, but we're going to be kind of going in and out, okay? So starting in Psalm 109, verse 1. And David writes to the chief musician, a psalm of David, hold not thy peace, O Yahweh, of my praise. So right away off the gate, David is invoking the Most High and reminding that he is the one that, Yah is the one that David praises out of his voice, out of his life, out of his being. Hold not thy peace. He's entreating Yah. He needs some results. He needs something to happen, and he's going to go and he's going to recount why he needs Yah to hear him, because he's basically fed up with this deceit, this wickedness that's being displayed against him. So he's going to call on the Most High to resolve this issue, because vengeance is mine, saith Yahweh, I will repay. That's not up to you. I can do it better than you will, and I do it just. And so David knows this, and he's speaking to the Most High, and he's going to begin to remind him of a lot of things and petition him for a lot of things. For the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are opened against me. They have spoken against me with a lying tongue. And again, here we have somebody that the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful, they have you're going to find this a lot repeated, that those that curse and go to curse you speak with a lying tongue. They use deceit, they use mischief, they use whatever they can to discredit you, to try to ruin you, to try to cause you injury, and they speak it openly without reservation. They are actually sending that curse your way. And again, speaking lies against a brother or sister is an abomination. We also know that by what it explains in Proverbs chapter 6. Pastor Dowell just went over this, I think on Blog Talk, but let's go ahead and look at it again. Proverbs chapter 6, 16 through 19. Proverbs 6, 16 through 19. Again, but the context here is we're sticking in Psalm 109, just kind of going in and out a little bit. These 6 things that Yahweh hates, 7 are an abomination. So we're going to find out what these 7 abominations are. A proud look, first thing. Second thing, a lying tongue. That's an abomination before the Most High. So we had in Psalm 109 verse 2, the mouth of the wicked, they speak with a lying tongue. They speak with abominations against the righteous. Hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that are swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among the brethren. So again, we have the 7 things that are the Most High has declared as abominations because they are direct attacks against Israel, against your own brothers and sisters. And this only comes, the only one that actually speaks with a lying tongue is out of the mouth those that are wicked, and those that are deceitful, those that are mischief, those that are speaking against you, sending curses against you. Okay, back to Psalm 109, and this is now we're in verse 3. David goes on again. They compassed me about also with words of hatred. So he's declaring before the Most High that the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful, they're open against me. David has the knowledge and the understanding that there's somebody speaking against him. I don't know if they're speaking directly to him, which I doubt, but it's getting back to him one way, shape, or form. He has knowledge that there might be things going on in his life. He can identify that something is not right, or again, somebody it may be coming to the grapevine, so to speak, but he knows that something is going on, and he knows that somebody's mouth is on him speaking lies. Nowadays, what they do, especially with this ministry and against Pastor Dowell, is they get on YouTube or they get on Facebook. That's how they speak lies. It's gone from, straight out your mouth to keyboards, but the principle, the idea is the same, so the judgment will be the same. They compassed me all about also with words of hatred. So they're full of lies. They're full of words of hatred and fought against me without a cause. There's no reason at all. I didn't do anything to them. I gave them no reason. Nothing that they didn't come back to me and go to your brother and say that you trespass against me. None of this happened. They just got demonic spirits in them, and they've got to the point they've lost all fear of the Most High, and they're going to speak against Yah's anointed. For my love, they are adversaries, but I give myself unto prayer. All right, I looked at this verse a good long time, because you can take Psalm 109 verse 4, and especially the latter half of it where it says, I give myself unto prayer. I've looked at different comparisons of different versions, and you can read a lot of different things into this. But I believe I know what David was trying to say here when he wrote this. And again, I want to read my notes here. Honestly, I'm not certain what the understanding is when it has to do with David and prayer concerning those enemies, talking about, what we're just went the last 4 verses. Is David praying against his enemies? Is he praying for his enemies? Are his enemies speaking against him and sending curses against him while he goes to prayer, or is it in prayer? And you read different versions; they give different levels of context. They say they spell the sentence a little bit different, the structure is a little bit differently, and the wording is a little bit different. And you can come up with all kind of different ideas, but ultimately we have to use the word to kind of get an idea where David was going. David speaks of love towards his adversaries. Like he said in verse 4, for my love, they are my adversaries. All right. David speaks of the love he gives and the hate his enemies return. He speaks of the reward of the evil he receives from his enemies, while his enemies mean for his evil. Does this then have us to believe that David is praying for his enemies, petitioning to Yah on their behalf, that Yah might have mercy on them and spare them, that Yahweh might show them the error of their ways? If we were to use the words of the Messiah in Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 and 44, it would have us to believe perhaps David was praying for his enemies. Question mark. We will look more into this further in the study. So again, we have, I did a lot of looking into this and trying to figure out, but you have to stick to context. And there's also line upon line, precept upon precept. Now, I've heard different breakdowns about Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 and 44 when it's talking about, and we're going to look into that, praying for your enemies, the other things that Jesus is talking about in there. And, if you think about this in the context of what that David said, that anyway, let me read a little bit more and I'll tell you what I believe David is actually trying to do here, because you remember he started out this psalm that, man, hear me, O Yah, right? I've had enough. I'm at the end of my rope here. I need your help with this now, because this stuff has just gotten way out of hand. He may have been sending warnings. He may have told the people to stop, whatever the case may be, but there was no way they were going to hold back. They're all going all in without any type of fear at all. All right, Psalms 109, verse 5. And they rewarded me evil for good and hatred for my love. So everything that David is trying to do to entreat these people, he's trying to show them love. Again, was he in prayer on their behalf, saying, Yah, show them mercy? The Most High, they don't understand what the hell they're doing. They're full of demonic spirits, whatever the case may be. Please deliver them from this wickedness. Because this is Israel. We're going to prove that this was Israel. David was the enemies that are labeled and coming against David here are not the enemies of other nations. These are actually his kindred, his kinfolk, right? Those of Israel. Up until this point, David has shown restraint in his attitude towards his attackers. How that through it all, he did not respond back in kind, like they were accusing him and attacking him. He did not respond back in kind, in spite of all the things being spoken against him. How he held his reserve and did not take matters physically into his own hands. But rather, it seems he stayed in prayer, possibly hoping for a better outcome for his enemies. I mean, David was smart enough. He was a man after Yah's own heart. He can tell when people were taken, advantage by the enemy. And so why not? I mean, I lean more towards David was actually, interceding on their behalf. Like, man, I know what's coming. Y'all going to have to back off this stuff, right? I know maybe you ain't going to hear me, but maybe y'all can do something to shake you to the core. I don't know, but his first thing, he's demonstrating acts of love towards these people. I mean, it could be construed as the love being that he didn't go out there and have somebody, the captain of hosts go out there and run a sword through. I don't know. I don't know all these things, but just trying to put together by what is written. Psalm 109, so we're up to verse 5. So the rest of Psalm 109, verses 6 through 15 is what we're going to cover now. Illustrate David's desire against his enemies, those things that if he were in Yah's stead would have pursued as punishment to this wicked cursing or manner men. But yet David understood that vengeance belonged to Yahweh, that he would right the wrongs done against David, and that his judgments are righteous and everlasting. And David made his petitions known to Yah against the wicked, but did not send curses by his mouth against those his accusers, those who willing with desired curse David. So we're going to watch David's petition here, right? Now he's got Yah's attention. He's already shown Yah the reason that he needs to be able to have the place to speak to the Most High and about what he's about ready to say. He recounted the Most High. I've got these people. I mean, Yah sees it all anyways, but he's just bringing it back to Yah's remembrance and showing Yah that he knows, he realized that he tried to do his best and tried to show them love, tried to show them, whatever it was, maybe in prayer again, like we just said, but none of it was working. The attacks kept coming, right? Again, this whole study is about not speaking something back against somebody, but simply taking what they say against you and returning it, and then let the Most High deal with it as he sees right. And when you keep that in mind and when you're reading this, then you will see that the context in which I'm trying to speak about. All right, we're going to go to, first we're going to go through Psalms 59, verses 10 through 12. Psalm 59, 10 through 12. And it says, the Yah my mercy shall prevent or receive me. That's what the Yah mercy shall receive me. Yah shall let me see my desire upon my enemies. So David's already saying here in an earlier psalm that he knows that the Most High will allow him to see his desire upon his enemies, but it's not David that's going to be doing it. It's going to be Yah giving him the go-ahead, because he is the one that decides what needs to be done with those that curse you. Slay them not, lest my people forget. Scatter them by thy power and bring them down, O Yahweh, our shield. So David is saying, look, his petition is saying, Father, please, my Elohim, don't destroy them. Don't destroy them with death, but allow them to live, that others may continually see and be reminded of those who sent the curses against the righteous and lying against the righteous. So these people are going to become spectacles. And David says, rather than his petition, rather than kill them, I would that maybe you just scatter them, but just bring them down, because you're our protector, our shield from the wicked that mean for our injury and for our death. For the sin of their mouth. So David's acknowledging in verse 12 where this is coming from. Again, it's coming from the mouth. The sin of their mouth and the words of their lips, let them even be taken in their pride, and for cursing and lying which they speak. Meaning by what he's talking about, let them be taken, meaning let them fall prey to their own malicious, wicked intents that they meant against others. And these wicked sent curses and lies by the words of their mouths, meaning they spoke them. They sent him out against the righteous. And all David is saying in verse 12 is, you go ahead, Father, please. My petition is that let them be taken in everything that they spoke against me. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just petitioning you that whatever they're speaking, if it be in your will, that let them be taken, everything they meant for me, and leave Yah be the one that's going to judge this matter. Okay, going back to Psalm 109, starting at verse 6. So we're going to have David start laying out his desires. We're going to have him start laying out his petitions against these ungodly, wicked people. And we're going to find out later, not only trying to oppress David with their mouths and curse David, but others in the assembly as well. And we're going to find out that David, this desire here through verse 15, is actually not on his behalf, but it's on the behalf of somebody else, because he sees the injustice these wicked folk are doing on people of his that he's shepherding over, that he's watching over. So he's even standing for his people in his petitions before the Most High. Set thou a wicked, which is an ungodly man, over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. I got my notes mixed up. All right, basically what David is saying here is that at one time this man did have a righteous man over him, being in David, right? But now David petitions that an ungodly man be placed in rule over this man, because he's not going to heed the ones that are in authority, the one that's actually a righteous man, somebody that Yah ordained and put in a position of rulership over him to see to the benefit of the man that now is cursing him. So David said, let's skip this. We're going to reverse this, Father. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead, just set a wicked man over him, over this, the one that's speaking the lies and deceit. And let Satan stand at his right hand. And we're going to get a meaning right from the word what that means. When we're dealing with Satan stands at somebody's right hand, not standing at the wicked man's right hand, mind you, standing at the right hand of the ungodly man that David petitions for Yah to put over the wicked man that's cursing David and cursing the people. So if we go to Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1, again, we're going to jump around here a little bit. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1. And he showed me Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of Yah, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. If you look behind the word resist, it means to accuse him. We have the same thing happen here. So you have Satan standing at Satan's the authority of this wicked, ungodly man that David petitions is put against the one that's cursing him and the people. And Satan's going to use his accusing tactics to label this man and to tear him down with accusations. David knew how to pray. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 1 through 5. Again, we're demonstrating what it means to put somebody, allow Satan to stand at somebody's right hand. And Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, starting verse 1 again, and this is through verse 5, it is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much named among the Gentiles that one should have his father's wife. So there's something going on in the assembly here. Paul is writing the letter. There's been a report that this crap has been going on, this sexual immorality, and he's dealing with the people. He ain't dealing so much with the one that committed this, but the people have a problem going on here, right? And they're actually have put themselves in a position that they shouldn't have because somebody else fell into a really nasty sin. And you are puffed up and have not rather mourned that he that hath done this deed, the one that actually committed fornication with his father's wife, in the world today they call it stepmom, that he hath done this deed might be taken away from among you. Why must this man be removed from the assembly? Well, simply because his actions must be met with judgment and a punishment to demonstrate to all of Israel that sin will not be tolerated. And again, what Paul is saying here also to the people is never allow yourself in your pride to believe that yourself are incapable of committing sins that others have committed. Don't ever put yourself in that place when you get too high and lofty and think that it can't happen to you. This man here probably didn't think that it would ever, that thought, Satan would ever put that thought in his mind, but he gave place to it. Now he's guilty of it because he allowed it, and he's being judged for it. Verse 3. For I verily, as absent in body, but present in spirit, have judged already. I've made the determination already, as though I were present concerning him that have done this deed. Meaning, Paul said, you need to remove him from amongst the assembly. And I'm sending you this letter as, I'm already making the judgment. I don't have to hear it. Just hearing the fact that this happened, I don't need to hear his side of the story. I've judged already. What's he got to say, right? Really, what he's got to say. In the name of our Master Yeshua HaMashiach, when you are gathered together in my spirit with the power of our Master Jesus Christ, to deliver such an one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved in the day of Yahweh the Elohim, of the Master Jesus. Again, did David possess this knowledge of turning men over to Satan? Did he have this same kind of mindset? I just left myself a question mark there. Maybe he did, but the fact of the matter is, in his prayer, he said, let Satan stand at his right hand. So he knew how to invoke Yah to allow Satan to get in there and really get this thing rolling, because Satan does love to perpetrate evil on anybody and everybody, and to see anybody brought down, he ain't going to hesitate for a second. All right, Psalm 109, verse 7. Continuing back on to the Psalms in 109, chapter 109. And David said, when he shall be judged, let him be condemned. So David's already saying, I know the judgment's coming. When he is going to be judged, allow him to be condemned. Petitioning Yah. He's not sending curses back against this man. He is petitioning Yah. His desires that he would like Yah to see done, but that's entirely up to the Most High if he's going to do it or not. And let his prayer become sin. And these words, let his prayers become sin, would certainly let us led us to believe that David is speaking about someone who is in Israel. For those enemies who pray to their gods of other nations, their prayers are already sin, and that which would never be heard of Yah. So we know more and more by the language in the psalm that David is actually talking about somebody in the assembly and not somebody of another nation, somebody that purports themselves to be Israel. Also, it must be noted and expressed that David uses the word let, as in meaning allow these things to be, O Yahweh. David is sending petitions to Yahweh and not sending curses towards his enemies. Again, he's saying, let these things be. Please, allow these things to be if it be in your will. And David ain't telling him to do it. He's just sending up his petition. So he's teaching you how to pay against the wicked here, those that speak the curses against you. Verse 8, let his days be few and let another take his office. It would appear that this enemy was one which held a position of importance and influence in Israel, as he had a, quote, office or an overseer's place in the body. So somebody up there in upper levels, he was abusing his place. He had a case of the butt like Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, decided to go ahead and start speaking against the authority that Yah had already ordained and put into place, and he was influencing the people and oppressing the people because of that position that he had been given. I wonder who gave him that position to begin with. It was obviously David that put him there. Verse 9, let his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. Now you can tell by David's petition, he just filled up to the brim. He's tired of this man. He tried his best, did whatever he can. He tried to extend the right hand of fellowship. He tried to extend the olive branch, whatever else you want to call it. He prayed for this person. He prayed for a solution. He dealt with this thing in love, trying to win this man or help him to come to senses or whatever. Be tolerant of this, and just wait impatiently, and then finally he just like, man, I'm done with this. We do that here. We've seen it exercised in the ministry before. It just comes to a point when people just don't stop, and they're not willing to stop. But we don't ever send back what they're speaking against us. We simply return it, and then we come against them, petition for the Most High, and we would that His will be done against those that attack us. And it's not the world, it's those that, say they're of Israel. Let his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. I mean, he is so upset with this wicked man that he's actually petitioning Yah to cut off his heritage and this man's name from Israel. Let his children be continually vagabonds and beg. Let them seek their bread also out of their desolate places. I mean, hardship on the whole family, not just this man. This thing is coming down. He's bringing the house, right? Let the extortioner catch all that he hath, and let the stranger spoil his labor. Again, David's speech, allow, please let, allow, if it be according to your will. Let there be none to extend mercy unto him, neither let there be any favor to his fatherless children. Because man's mercy, remember when David had the situation where he numbered the people, and he said, let the mercy of Yah follow me and not the mercy of man, meaning that man's more prone to exercise great punishment without restraint, and sometimes without a cool head, where the Most High is going to be perfect every time. So you just put it out there and then let Yah deal with it, because it may be a little bit too much. The Bible also tells us not to rejoice when our enemy falls. So, we can find out that Yah, when he sees he doesn't rejoice in the death of the wicked. Well, how many people that are Israel and they see the death of the wicked that we read about, that they rejoice, they get a big thrill? But Yah ain't dealing that way at all. Let his posterity be cut off. This is verse 13. And in the generation following, let their names be blotted out. Just trying to extinguish this whole name and this whole line, this bloodline of this particular person. Let the iniquity of his fathers be remembered with Yahweh, and let not the sins of his mother be blotted out. Damn. Let them be before Yahweh continue, that he may cut, meaning Yahweh, may cut off the memory of them from the earth. This is something that the Most High is going to handle. Because that he remembered not to show mercy. Talking about, again, this wicked person that David started out this petition from the very beginning when he invoked Yah to hear him. Because that this wicked man, that he remembered not to show mercy, it just totally was gone to him, but persecuted the poor and needy man, that he might even slay in broken heart. Slay the broken in heart. He wasn't sparing anybody, this wicked person. He was going after everybody. Now, David obviously knew full well the character of this wicked man, this enemy, and we find here in verse, plea to Yahweh about this man was more so because he was a man void of mercy and one which persecuted the poor, the helpless. This type of person is the lowest of the slime of the earth. And David knew that. You're attacking totally defenseless people. And, you know, those that are least esteemed. What kind of sick person does this? What kind of wicked man does that? Actually puts their mouth on these people and oppresses them. And so David just got done here going in on this wicked man, not so much on his behalf, but because of what he was doing to others in the assembly. All right, 109 verse 17. As he loved cursing, so let it come unto him. All right, so right now we have David bringing back to memory again, demonstrating that whatever this man spoke, whatever he did, whatever his actions were toward the righteous, he's petitioning you let it come, let it return unto him. As he delighted not in blessing, so let it be far from him. The things that he didn't want to extend, don't give it to him. But whatever cursing, put it back and return it back to him. As he clothed himself with the cursing like his with his garment, so let it come into his bowels like water and like oil into his bones. Let it return back to him. All the evil he meant, just let it return back into his own hand. I'm not going to speak against him. I'm not going to send my own personal curses. That's a sin coming out of your mouth. By simply returning it back, you stood in the righteousness of Yah, and he's going to deal with it. David knew that. That's why David prayed the way he did. Verse 19, let it be unto him as a garment which covereth him, and for a girdle wherewith he is girded continually. Man, let this forever be his punishment. Let this be the reward of mine adversaries from the Most High. Not from me, but let it come from the Most High, and of them that speak evil against my soul. David gives certain clarity here when he writes, the rewards of the wickedness would come from Yahweh, the one who avenges his people against our enemies. All right, we just finished them 20 verses, and we're going to, now we're just about done. So we're going to go to Job chapter 31, Job 31, 29 and 30. Job 31, 29 and 30. And Job says, if I rejoiced at the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing or asking a curse to his soul. So Job is understanding that you have to read all of, 31 leading up to this to get the full context. But most of Job 31 details Job speaking of all the reasons why he shouldn't be judged by Yah because of his impeccable lifestyle. And he's laying it out here, what he did in his life, a life of righteousness that he lived toward Yah and man. And he's asking Yah to send curses upon someone. Asking Yah to send curses upon someone is a sin. That's what he's saying. So if I, by my mouth, send a curse upon somebody, wishing a curse upon somebody, I have sinned by my own mouth. And he's reminding that he doesn't do that. That's what Job is saying, if that makes any sense. He acknowledges that it's sin to actually wish a curse on somebody, or directed a curse, or ask that a curse be sent upon somebody, right? That's Yah. Yah take care of it. You just return it. He'll deal with the rest. All right, now we're going to cover briefly Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 and 44, as we talked about before. And Pastor, I know, has talked about this some time ago to give a little bit more clarity, because the language sometimes that we find, especially in the King James, really it's more written with a a soft Jesus type of approach. But Yeshua says, and if you know what the word says, you know what the scriptures say, it's a lot more easily discern what was actually being said here. Matthew chapter 5, verse 43 and then 44. And Yeshua says, you have heard that it hath been said, not that it's been written, but you have heard, right? Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. So when we open up here, it's looking at, you got two different types of people. You got those that are neighbor, those that, when you say neighbor, those that you interact with well, those that are your buddy, chums, pals, whatever the case. It's not your neighbors next door that are heathen. He's talking about people in Israel, in the kingdom of Yah. And hate thine enemy. Now, sometimes when that's expressed, that's looking, they're using the context of the neighbor down the street as your enemy, which he is, but there's a big difference when it's an enemy that's coming from within the camp or of Israel. And that's what David dealt with, and I believe that's exactly what Jesus is saying here. He ain't talking about the other nations or the other peoples. He came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He didn't come to the other nations. So he's speaking to Israel on the platform that we're talking about those that are actually in the nation of the Most High, of the kingdom of Yah. But I say unto you, so Jesus is going to attempt to straighten this out, right? He said, love your enemies and bless them that curse you. Now, did not David say in Psalm 109, for my love they have hated me? So these words that Yeshua is speaking really truly reflect on Psalm 109. Bless them that curse you. Did not David try to do that? Didn't he say that in the first 5 verses, that I tried to petition these, I tried to actually intercede for these people, I actually tried to do good to them, love them, but yet they still hated me without a cause? Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. And pray for them. Why is Yeshua saying all this? Because he knows the one that's going to be in charge of doling out punishment and judgment. That's he himself. And pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. Okay, and let me break this down, because some people say that this is, everybody. Your neighbor being, down the street, and Joe Smith across the street or whatever. But let me ask you this, okay? Now, is not Satan your enemy? Is he not your enemy? Okay, so are you supposed to love Satan? What's the obvious? Is he your enemy? Love your enemies. So if we love the people of the other nations, if we love the heathen, we're actually loving Satan because they belong to him, right? So you wouldn't. Is not Satan your enemy? Of course he is. Are we supposed to love Satan? Well, absolutely not. Are we to bless Satan? Bless them that curse you? No. Hell no. And not those that belong to his nation. Would you pray for Satan? Well, what in the world? Now, can you see the foolishness by the way these Christian churches and these Christian preachers tried to present this in this worldly atmosphere? No, this whole thing is in the construct of Israel and Israel alone. You can forget everybody else's. The answer to all these questions better be a resounding no. So clearly the enemy spoken about here is not Satan or those who are the ungodly or those that are without, but those who are of Israel. So Yeshua is just focusing on those of Israel. And after reading Psalm 109, especially verses 1 through 6, we can see that David mirrored a whole lot of what Yeshua is putting out here. He was petitioning on their behalf that there might be some mercy extended to them, that they might actually be able to come out of their blindness, that they may actually be able to see. So if you have your enemy, somebody in the congregation, somebody that's attacking you and speaking evil against you and sending curses, well, return the curses back. I return them curses back up to the sender in Jesus' name. But then again, if you love your brother and can see that he's been taken captive by the enemy at Satan's will, do what Dawid did. Do what Jesus instructed here. Send up prayers for him. Pre-adventure, Yah would lead them to repentance. So it all fits very well. I just have the definitions of curse, hate, and despite, which really isn't all that big deal to go into. You can look them up for yourself. But this concludes this study. Again, this is one of these studies that you could have thrown in. You know, I got 10 pages here. I could have put in 50 more because there's so much found in the Word that deals with cursing and returning cursing, and you know, in that context, in that vein. So I hope this made sense. And remember, you know, return curses. Don't ever send them. Don't send them back. Don't, you know, because what you're doing is basically speaking them back when you send them back to the people that sent them to you. Return them. When you speak them back, you're actually cursing them. And then you have sin coming out of your mouth. And then you're accountable for that sin and accountable for the curses you sent to your fellow brothers and sisters, if that makes sense. So return the curses, pray and entreat those that do these things despitefully to you. And at that point, hey, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to do this like David did. And I'm not sorry. He just got up to the point and he just went in wholeheartedly. And then he let Yah be the judge. He let the Most High take care of it. And David was content because these people weren't going to get it. Whatever, how many warnings or whatever, it wasn't going to get it. But again, the whole thing in this is absolutely just to be careful about not sending curses towards anybody, just returning them. So, hey, I appreciate all your patience tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you all have a blessed week. Remember always to lift up our shepherd, Pastor Dowell, continually, daily for his strength, and that the word of Yah, that Yah would always give him a word and a revelation of the truth for not only himself, but for us as a people as we prepare for the coming of our Savior. And I pray that you all have a blessed week, a productive week, a week that whatever trials and tribulations come your way, that you can keep your mind and your eyes on Yeshua and trust in him and him alone. All right, blessings to you all, and love you all, Israel. Much shalom.
Uh-oh, look at him looking.